Hello everyone, welcome back to our motivational theory class, that is Vroom's expectancy theory. Victor Vroom made an important contribution to the understanding of the concept of motivation and the decision processes that people use to determine how much effort they will expend on their jobs. Criticizing Hedgeberg two-factor model, two-factor theory, which we have discussed earlier, he says that a person's motivation towards any action at any time would be determined by an individual's perception that a certain type of action would lead to a specific outcome and his personal preferences for this outcome. Right? This model is based on the belief that motivation is determined by the nature of the reward people expect to get as a result of their job performance, right? Because man is rational human being, he will try to maximize the perceived value of such rewards. People will be highly motivated if they are made to believe that if they behave in a particular way, they will receive a certain type of outcome according to their personal preference. As we know that people satisfaction levels are different and people get satisfied to different motives, okay, that will make them to pursue their assigned task depending upon the reward that will make them satisfied, right? There are three variables in Vroom's model given in the form of an equation. Since the model is a multiplier, since the model is a multiplier, all the three variables must have possess, okay, uh, non-negative value, that is positive value, to imply motivated performance choices. If any of the variable is zero, the probability of motivated performance tends to be zero. That means if you find the relationship between the variables as multiplication, if one factor becomes zero, the outcome will become zero. Here motivation is equal to, as per the rooms, valency into expectancy into instrumentation. The relationship exists between these valency, expectancy and instrumentation is product relationship. All these three variables we will now discuss in detail. Okay. Uh, what is valence first? Valence means the attraction or repulsion of an outcome to the individual. Whenever an individual has preference for a reward, valence is the strength of that preference. The valence is something subjective and varies from person to person. Valence is deemed to be the positive for an individual if he prefers to attain the outcome to not attaining it. Okay. Valency is zero. If the individual is indifferent towards the outcome, and the valency will be negative if the individual prefers not attaining the outcome to attain it. In simple words, we can say that the worker must value the reward as desired satisfactory. It is not the actual value of the reward, but the perceived value of the reward in the mind of the worker which is important. As we know that from the same source we will get delighted differently. In the same manner, the people's satisfaction is different. Even though we give same item or reward to all the employees who are working for the organization, they may not get same amount of satisfaction because difference in the perception regarding the reward. Here, under valency, the same is state. For example, a person who is more interested in getting recognition for the hard work will not have any valence for cash reward. If he wants to, he wants to be recognized in the organization, but he don't want to have a cash reward. If you give cash reward, it does not motivate them to, achieve the organization goals, right? And expectancy. It is also referred to as effort performance ability. We may call it as effort performance ability. It refers to the extent to which the person believes his efforts will lead to the first level outcome, that is completion of the task. Expectancy is the probability that a particular action will lead to outcome. It is the perception in the mind of individual of the likelihood that particular action and behavior will lead to certain outcome. Since it is an association between effort and performance, its value can range between 0 and 1. Okay, if it becomes 0, expectancy, the outcome, that is motivation, will become 0. But if it just above 0, that means the value of expectancy lies between 0 and 1, 0, 0.1, 0.11, 0.12, 0.13, like that. If the individual feels that the probability of achieving an outcome is 0, he will not even try. Okay, if the individual feels that the probability of achieving outcome is 0, he will not try. If you know the result, if you know the consequence, you are making effort, but you know that you will get failed. Do you think that you will make effort? No. On the other hand, if the probability is higher, he will put more efforts to achieve the desired outcome, right? And another is instrumentality. Okay, we may call it as performance reward probability, right? Instrumentality refers to the probabilities attached by the individual to each possible performance outcome, alternative just as the individual previously assigned probabilities to various levels of efforts leading to different levels of performance. That's what we call it as expectancy. In simple words, instrumentality refers to the belief and expectation of a person that his performance will lead to a particular desired reward. For example, if an individual wants a promotion and feels that superior performance is very important in receiving the promotion, superior performance, that is first level outcome, what we call this, will be instrumental in obtaining the desired promotion, that is second level outcome. The value of instrumentality also varies from 0 to 1. Okay, as it is also the probability of achieving the desired outcome, right? If instrumentality is 0, the motivation will be 0. Okay, but that's why instrumentality should not be 0. Any, not only instrumentality, valency, expectancy, instrumentality. If any one of these factors will become 0, the outcome is 0. Okay, as the relationship suggests. Okay, motivation is equal to valency into expectancy into instrumentality. Motivational force will be highest when all the three factors are high, and the force will be reduced when any one of or more of valency, expectancy, or instrumentality approaches 0. Right? Next, the management must recognize and determine the situation as it exists and take helps to improve upon these factors for modification of behavior, so that highest value can be achieved individually. Management, for example, can deal with the different situations. Okay, one is low effort performance expectancy. Reasons: lack of necessary. The reason for low effort is lack of necessary skills and training, so that the worker do not know that their extra effort will lead to better performance. And performance expectancy. Okay, in order to overcome that, what steps need to be taken? Management should provide opportunity for training, improve skills in order to improve effort performance relationship, right? And low performance reward instrumentality relationship is that reason is reward policy may be inconsistent and may depend upon factors other than performance, which the worker may not be aware of or may not consider fair. What are the steps to be taken to overcome this? Is management should re-evaluate the appraisal techniques and formulate policies that strengthen this relationship as just and equitable. Management should provide opportunity for training, improve skills in order to improve effort performance relationship. Right, next, low reward balance. Reason for low reward is the reward may not be desirable for workers. Some workers may find monetary rewards desirable, while some other may value recognition. Right, steps to be taken in this regard is management must investigate the desirability of the reward which are given on the basis of performance. Now we'll see evaluation of the expectancy theory. The expectancy model is highly useful in understanding organizational behaviors. It can improve the relationship between the individuals and the organizational goals. This model explains how individuals' goals influences his efforts, and like need-based models reveal that the individual behavior is goal-oriented. Right? The expectancy theory is a cognitive theory which values human dignity. Individuals are considered rational human beings who can participate their future on the basis of their beliefs and expectations only. Right? This theory helps the manager in looking beyond what Maslow and Hertzberg implied according to the motivation. Right? Does not mean satisfy the unsatisfied needs. Right? The manager must make it possible for an employee to see that effort can result in appropriate need satisfying reward. This level of expectations will improve the motivation to work. Despite these plus points, there are some drawbacks of Vroom's expectancy model as given below. We'll see now. Vroom theory is difficult to research and apply in practice. This is evident by the fact that there have been a very few research studies designed especially to test Vroom's theory. This theory assumes man to be a rational human being who makes all the decisions consciously, but there are numerous instances where decisions are taken with no conscious thought. Right? This is particularly true for routine jobs. Although it is an important theory of motivation, but it is quite complex. Many managers in actual organization situations do not have the time or resource to use a complex system on the job. Right? To include, we can say that from the theoretical point of view, this model is a step in the right direction, but from practical point of view, it does not help the manager in solving the complex motivational problems. Right? Now we will discuss another theory, that is Porter and Lawler model of motivation. Lyman Porter and Edward Lawler came up with comprehensive theory of motivation combining the various aspects that we have so far been discussing and using two additional variables in their model. Though built in large part on Vroom's expectancy model, Porter and Lawler model is a more complete model of motivation. This model has been practically applied also in their study of managers. This is a multivariate model, which explains the relationship that exists between job attitudes and job performance. Right? The model is based on 4 basic assumptions about human behavior. Right? That is, it is a multivariate model. According to this model, individual behavior is determined by a combination of factors in the individual and the environment. Right? Individuals are assumed to be rational human beings who make conscious decisions about their behavior in the organizations. And third is, individuals have different needs, desires and goals. And fourth is, on the basis of their expectations, individuals decide between alternate behaviors, and such desired behavior will lead to a desired outcome. The various elements of this model are: effort is one. Effort refers to the amount of energy which a person exerts on job. Another is value of reward. First of all, people try to figure out whether rewards that are likely to be received from doing a job will be attractive to them or not. This is referred to as valency in Vroom's theory. A person who is looking for more money, for him, for example, extra vacation time may not be attractive reward. When people wants to have money, vacation may not be attractive reward for them. Right? If the reward to be obtained is attractive or valid, then the individual will put extra effort to perform the job. Otherwise, it will lower his effort. Right? Perceived effort reward probability is another element. That is, in addition, before people put forth any effort, they will also try to assess the probability of certain levels of effort leading to a desired level of performance, and the possibility of that performance leads to certain kinds of rewards. Based on the valency of the reward and the effort reward probability, people can decide to put in certain levels of work efforts. Another is performance. Effort leads to performance. This expected level of performance will depend upon the amount of effort, the abilities, and the traits of the individual and his role. Perceptions, abilities include knowledge, skill, and intellectual capacity to perform the job. Traits which are important for many jobs are endurance, okay, perseverance, and goal directedness. Thus, abilities and traits will moderate the effort performance relationship. In addition, people performing the job should have a great role perception, which refers to the way in which people define their jobs. People may perceive their roles differently. Only those who perceive their roles as is defined by the organization will be able to perform well when they put forth the requisite effort. Another is rewards. Performance leads to certain outcomes in the shape of two types of rewards. Okay, we call them as extrinsic rewards and intrinsic rewards. Okay, what is extrinsic rewards? External rewards given by others in the organization and in the form of money, right? External rewards, extrinsic nothing but external rewards given by others in the organization in the form of money, recognition, praise. Okay, intrinsic rewards, inner feelings of joy, self-esteem and sense of competency that individual feels when they do a good job in the organization. That is innate, it is inborn. That's why we call it as intrinsic reward. And another is sixth element, that is satisfaction. Satisfaction will result from both extrinsic and intrinsic rewards. However, for being satisfied, an individual will compare his actual rewards with the perceived rewards. If actual rewards meet or exceed perceived equitable rewards, the individual will feel satisfied, and if these are less than equitable rewards, the individual feel dissatisfied. We'll see the significance of Porter and Lawler model. Porter and Lawler model is a departure from the traditional analysis of satisfaction and performance relationship. In practice, we find that motivation is not a simple cause and effect relationship. Rather, it is a complex phenomenon, right? This model is of great significance to managers since it sensitizes them to focus their attention on the different points to keep their employees motivated. One is match the abilities and traits of individuals to the requirements of the job by putting the right person on the right job. We need to evaluate the people who are suitable to which jobs, right? That is, match the abilities of the individuals to the jobs. Next, he should carefully explain to the subordinates. Manager has to carefully explain the subordinates their roles. What are their roles? What they need to perform in the organization. That is what they must do. To be rewarded, right? If they get rewarded, that means their performance is good. That is necessary for the organization and therefore individual growth, right? Then we must make sure that they understand what the manager has said. And another is prescribe in concrete terms the actual performance levels expected of the individual, and these levels should be made attainable, right? Prescribe in concrete terms the actual performance level expected by the individuals, of the individuals. What you are expecting from the individuals, you should prescribe to them in a concrete form. This much you have to do, with successful performance. That must be revealed. And fifth is make sure that the rewards dispensed are valued by the employees. Rewards dispensed are valued by the employees. What reward you are going to give, what reward you are giving, they must value that reward. Then only they will make effort. Thus, you should find out what rewards are attractive to the employees and see if such rewards can be given to them. Employees, okay, they may have different notion regarding the rewards. Some may be attractive, some may not be attractive. The manager has to find out what are the attractive rewards, okay, they are expecting for their work, and in such a way he has to reward, okay, he has to give rewards to the employees to enhance their work abilities. And Porter and Lawler model has definitely made a significant contribution to the better understanding of work motivation and the relationship between performance and satisfaction. But even then, today, it has not made much impact on the actual performance of human resource management. Is one like this, right? And now we'll discuss equity theory of motivation. The equity theory owes its origin to several prominent theorists. However, it is J. Stacy Adams' formulation of theory which is most highly developed and researched statement on this topic. According to Adams, equity theory is based on the simple assumption that people want to be treated fairly. Many employees are concerned not only with satisfying their own needs but also compare what others receive. Okay, people are interested in, okay, what others are receiving. Right? The same will do done by the employees. The theory defines equity as the belief that we are being treated fairly in relation to others, and equity, okay, as the belief that we are treated unfairly in relation to the others. Inequity, equity. Generally, people wants to compare whether we are treated in, okay, equal to others or unequal to others. Employees feel others and inequity as the belief that we are treated unfairly in relation to others. Employees feel satisfied or dissatisfied with comparative observations of their friends, neighbors, and colleagues. Whenever the employees feel, okay, that he is lacking in some way in comparison to others, he tends to work hard to reach the level of others. People are motivated by the inquiry they notice with others. Right? The equity theory helps in understanding both the cause and likely consequences of feeling of unequitable treatment among the organization members. Adams has defined two specific words, namely person and the other. Person is any individual for whom equity or unequity exists. Person is an individual for whom he is in his exists, okay, equity or unequity. He is comparing with others and stating that, okay, he is not fairly treated. Okay, sometimes he is treated more than, okay, what they have been rewarded. That means he gets more satisfaction. Other is defined here. Other is defined as any individual with whom a person is in relevant exchange relationship or with whom a person compares himself. Person and other. We are comparing with other. Other is a person, okay, in relevant exchange relationship. Right? Adam describes the equity comparison process in terms of input-output ratios. Input are an individual's contribution to the organization. Inputs are what? They are individual contributions to the organization, such as the person's training, education, skills, experience, ethnic background, effort, and loyalty. Outputs are what? He receives in turn. An individual can receive many positive and negative outcomes from the organization. The outcomes which an individual receives are in the form of pay, working conditions, recognition, social relationships, a level of supervision, right? So on. The individuals alone decide whether an outcome is positive or negative. Okay, people assesses the ratio between their outcomes and their relevant inputs right? Each person compares this ratio with uh, ratio of another person or group of people. Let us call the person making the comparison one person and the object of comparison other. Okay, and we'll see. Person's outcome by person input is equal to others outcome by others input, which is leads to equity. Person's outcome by person inputs less than other outcomes by other inputs. Okay, equity. Person's outcomes persons by person's inputs greater than other outcomes other inputs. Okay, will be will equity. This is what we call as equity theory. A feeling of equity results when an individual perceives the ratios as equal. The ratio happens in a work environment where a person feels that he and his co-workers are paid the same amount of that, their relevant inputs, and also the same. A feeling of equity can also occur when others' outcome are higher than the person when others' inputs are also higher. Okay, a feeling of equity can occur when others' outcomes are higher or lower than the person, and when the others' inputs are also higher or lower, he feels equity. What we have observed from the equations given, okay, and discussed so far. This form of equity is common in organization. A person does not feel inequitable treated if his superior is getting a higher salary than him. Right? Equity as a motivation force. Okay, will act. Okay, individual perceives inequity. Individual leads to individual experience uh, tension, which leads to individual wants to reduce tension, and it leads to individual take action, and that leads to change input, change outcomes, alter perceptions of self, alter perceptions of other, change comparisons, leave situation. In case there is inequality in the ratios of outcomes and inputs, people can experience two types of inequity, positive and negative. In negative inequity, people feel that they are underpaid for what they give the organization, and in positive inequity, they feel that they had are paid more than their work, okay, is worth. The amount of inequity is proportional to the size of the perceived discrepancy in two ratios. The basic equity theory assumes that upon, okay, feeling inequity, the person is motivated to reduce it. Further, the greater the inequity, the greater the motivation to reduce it. It is not that the person feeling inequity alone gets motivated to restore equity. The person with a feeling of equity also gets motivated, but to maintain the current situation. The person with a feeling of inequity can try a number of alternatives, namely change inputs is the one. A person can change his inputs depend upon whether the perceived inequity is positive or negative. Under a condition of negative inequity, he may reduce his efforts, productivity, and or quality of work. Under a condition of positive inequity, he may increase those inputs. Right? Change outcome is another. A person may attempt to change his outcome by requesting a salary increase or asking for a bigger office. Anything perceived to be an outcome important to the individual can shift his ratio of inputs to outcome. Right? Alter perceptions of self. Rather than actually changing inputs and outcomes, people may change their perception of their inputs or outcomes. If they feel overpaid, they may begin to see more responsibility and duty in their job. If they feel unpaid, they may reduce the perceived importance of the job by suggesting themselves that it is just another job. Right? Alter perceptions of others. People may change their perceptions of the inputs and outcomes of the comparison. A person who feels overpaid may impute more importance to the task of the other party than in the past. Okay, past. Change comparisons. If Comparing oneself with a specific person creates feeling of inequity. Choosing someone else for comparison purpose may result in less uncomfortable feelings. Right? Leave situation. A person may withdraw from situation that produce the feeling of inequity. The withdrawal can be permanent, such as leaving the organization for some other organization, or it can be temporary, okay, such as increased options or uh, tardiness, what we call this. Now we will evaluate the theory, equity theory. The equity theory has generated extensive research with many of the results being supportive. The theory recognizes the influence of social comparison possesses on motivation. Individuals are concerned not only with the amount of reward they receive for their efforts, but also with the motives, okay, with the employees. Lastly, compared to the other theories, the equity theory adopts a realistic approach to motivation. This theory postulates that a major share of individual behavior is based on the perceived situation rather than on the actual set of circumstances. Such as hypothesis is proved correct by the several findings, which indicates that it is perceived equity or inequity of the situation that stimulate motivation and satisfaction. The equity theory is not free from criticism. The central theme of the theory is the judgment of fair treatment, but in reality, the concept of fairness is not appreciated by all. Equity predictions are more likely to apply to the people who are morally mature. There are some practical difficulties also applying equity theory. Uh, for example, how does a person choose the comparison other? How to assess the perception of people about inputs, outcomes, relationship, and is a given factor an output or outcome? Example, responsibility. Under what circumstances will each method inquiry relation be used? Regardless of these problems, the equity theory continues to offer as some important insight to employee motivation, and the manager find it very useful in managing and motivating through equitable rewards. And another is McLaren needs theory we are going to discuss. Okay. Another appreciable contribution to the concept of motivation is David McLeod's needs theory. According to McLeod, there are three major motives or needs in workplace which motivates the people. The needs for achievement is one. Some people have high achievement motivation. They want to excel, to achieve standards and strive to succeed. Such people should be given tasks and powers enabling them to utilize their potential effectively. Opportunities would help them to strive for higher achievements, right? The need for power is the second. Is concerned with the influencing others and winning arguments. People with high need for power drive satisfaction from being in position of influence and control. To motivate such people, positions of power and authority should be given to them. And another is need for affiliation. Some people need and desire for friendly and close interpersonal relationship. People dominated by such need are interested in jobs that provide opportunity for social inter- interaction. Okay, and according to this theory, any person has three types of needs may in varied degrees. The motivator should use motivators to the extent to which each person needs it. Which person has uh, physiological and safety needs also, which must also be satisfied. Limitations, in spite of appreciation of this theory, it suffers from a few limitations. Need and satisfaction of need is a psychological thing. Sometimes even the person may not be aware of his own need. In such case, it will be difficult for him, for the manager to understand the employee's need. There is no direct cause and effect relationship between needs and behavior. One particular need may cause different types of behavior in different persons. On the other hand, a particular individual behavior may be the result of different needs. And another limitation is that the physiological and safety needs are more important as compared to McClelland needs. Now, the last theory is goal setting theory. We'll discuss. Uh, Edwin Locke proposes the intention to work toward a goal or a major source of work motivation. Goal tells an employee what needs to be done and how much effort to be put in. Specific goals increase performance. Difficult goals, when accepted, result in higher performance than do easy goals. Moreover, feedback leads to higher performance than does non-feedback. Goal setting theory emphasizes a few points. If your factors such as ability, okay, uh, and acceptance of the goals are held, okay, goals are held constant, it can be stated that the more difficulty goal, the higher the level of performance. Once an employee accepts a hard task, he or she will exert a high level of effort until it is achieved, lower or obtained. People will do better when they get feedback on how well they are progressing toward their goal, because feedback helps to identify discrepancies between the what they have done and what they want to do. Another is feedback is not equal potent. Self-generated feedback, where the employee is able to monitor his or own progress bar, has proved to be more powerful motivator than externally generated feedback. If people participate in goal setting, they are more likely to accept even a difficult goal to them. If they are arbitrarily assigned it by their boss, people are basically committed to choices in which they have a part. A major advantage of participation may be increasing acceptance of the goal itself as a desirable one toward which to work. There are four factors which influence the goal performance relationship. That is, goal commitment. Goal setting theory assumes that Right. Goal setting theory assumes that an employee is committed to the goal, that it is he is determined not lower or abandon the goal. This will more likely happen when the goals are made public, when the employee has an internal locus of control, and when the goals are self set rather than assigned. And the self-efficacy. Self-efficacy refers to an individual belief that he is capable of performing a task. The higher the self-efficacy of a person, the more confidence he will have in his ability to succeed in a task. In difficult situations, people with low self-efficiency are more likely to lessen their effort to give up altogether, whereas people with high self-efficiency will try too hard to master the challenge. Moreover, people with higher self-efficacy respond to a negative feedback with increased effort and motivation, whereas those low self-efficacy likely to lessen their effort when given negative feedback. Task characteristics. Research indicates that individuals' goal setting does not work equally well on all tasks. The evidence suggests that the goals seem to have a more substantial effect on performance when tasks are simple rather than complex, well learned rather than novel, and independent rather than interdependent. An interdependent task group goals are preferable. Right? National culture. Goal setting theory is culture born. It can apply in countries where the employees are reasonably independent, where both manager and employee seeks challenging goals and performance is considered important for both. It will not lead desired performance in countries where opposite conditions exist. And the last theory is uh, reinforcement theory. Reinforcement theory is a counterpoint to the goal setting theory. These theories are at odds philosophically. Reinforcement theory believe that behavior of people is environmentally caused. They argue that one need not be concerned with internal cognitive events. What controls behavior or reinforce any consequences that when immediately following a response increase the probability that behavior will be repeated. Strictly speaking, reinforcement theory is not a theory of motivation. However, it provides a powerful means of analysis of what controls behavior. Reinforcement is an important influence on behavior. However, only a few scholars are prepared to argue that it is the only influence. The behavior one engages in at work and the amount of effort one allocates to each task are affected by the consequences that follow from the one's behavior. Okay, with this, the motivation theories have concluded. Thank you for listening.